Okay, imagine this. A single block of stone,
Huh.
right? Heavier than a jumbo jet, sitting way up high on a temple hundreds and hundreds of years old.
You're talking about the Brihadiswara temple capstone. 1,200 tons.
Exactly, 1,200 tons. And how they got it up there, well, it's still basically a mystery.
It really is. And that's kind of the perfect place to start today, isn't it?
I think so, because we're doing a deep dive into the often pretty surprising science and tech that's just woven into ancient India, especially in temples, traditions.
And we're drawing from that interesting YouTube discussion in Telugu you mentioned.
Yeah, exactly. It gives a unique angle. What's really striking right off the bat is just the sheer scale, the ambition of these ancient projects.
Oh, absolutely. It forces you to, rethink what you thought their capabilities were.
Totally. And you listening in, you're probably wondering, like, how do they build this stuff? Is there more to the story than we usually hear? Get ready for some aha moments, I think. Our main source is that YouTube video, Manaku Tilasena Charisra Thapu. Basically, the history we know is wrong, featuring Mr. Madan Gupta. We're going to unpack some of his most intriguing points.
And it definitely makes you ask why these incredible achievements aren't always, front and center in history class.
Right. So our mission today is pretty simple. Pull out these surprising bits of knowledge about ancient Indian science and tech from this discussion, give you the highlights, spark some curiosity.
Sounds good. So starting with that massive stone, where do we go from there? Maybe a modern comparison.
That's a great idea. Okay, think about the Buddha statue in Hussain Sagar Lake in Hyderabad. Relatively recent, right? 1980s.
Big, but modern.
Huge.
Yeah.
350 tons, 58 feet tall, cost millions, took 5 years. And just moving this semi-finished stone from Rayagiri, that took almost 2 weeks. Serious logistics.
Okay, so 350 tons, nearly 2 weeks transport time, modern tech.
Exactly. Now, contrast that with the Brihadiswara temple. Way older, much, much heavier stone.
1,200 tons?
Placed way higher up.
Yeah.
And like the YouTube discussion points out, researchers are still trying to figure out how they did it. We just don't know the tech they used.
It really throws any assumptions about ancient limitations out the window.
Doesn't it? The source video makes a good point. For a civilization to last thousands of years, it must have had significant tech know-how.
And it wasn't just one place. Look at the Kailasa temple at Ellora. Another mind blower.
Oh, yeah. Carved from a single rock.
Top down.
Top down. Over, 65 years they estimate?
Huh.
Removing thousands and thousands of tons of rock. It's just an engineering marvel.
Undeniably. And that detail about Aurangzeb trying to destroy it.
Crazy, right? 1,200 workers, 6 months straight hammering away.
And they barely scratched it, only about 10% damage, reportedly.
That tells you something about how well it was built. Engineered, not just built.
And the YouTube discussion suggests this wasn't like a one-off fluke. It points to a pattern, a broader base of advanced knowledge across India.
Right, like mirror technology. The new Ram Mandir is using mirrors to focus sunlight on the deity.
But that's not actually new tech for temples.
No. The Brahmarama temple in Sri Sailam, sunlight travels up the deity once a year. Same kind of thing at the Surya Mandir in Arasavili, sun rays on the deity's feet.
That kind of precise alignment, it shows a deep grasp of astronomy, of optics, not just reflection, but controlled light.
And then there's that Chayasonswaralaya temple. This one's wild. A permanent shadow inside.
Always in the same spot, sunrise to sunset, same angle.
Yeah. The precision needed for that. Understanding solar angles, architecture. It's incredible.
It really is. How did they figure that out and integrate it so perfectly into, religious structures back then?
Exactly. It wasn't just luck. Okay, what about the iron pillar? The one in Delhi, originally maybe from Mathura.
The rust-resistant one. Stood out in the open for centuries, barely any rust.
And the YouTube discussion brings up this theory. Maybe it wasn't one solid piece.
That it was transported in sections.
Yeah.
And then joined.
Yeah, like welded or forged together so perfectly you can't even see the seams anymore. That implies some seriously advanced metallurgy.
Mastery of metalworking that perhaps we don't fully appreciate today.
And another interesting tidbit from the video. The area, Marali. Could it be named after Mihiracharya, the mathematician?
And the Qutub Minar maybe being an observatory originally?
It definitely makes you look at those famous landmarks a bit differently, doesn't it?
That connection between science, maths, even place names.
Yeah.
It suggests learning was really integrated back then.
Okay, changing gears slightly. City planning. The source mentions Sri Ranganam, that temple complex with 7 enclosures.
Right, not just walls.
No, inside those enclosures were homes, shops, like a whole planned city built around the temple. Pretty advanced urban design.
It suggests a really holistic view of community life, where spiritual and daily life were physically connected.
And Puri Jagannath Temple. Can't forget that. The video flags a couple of weird things there.
The flag flying against the wind.
Yeah, consistently flies against the wind.
Yeah.
And the chakra on top looks the same no matter where you stand.
What's the tech behind that? We just don't know. It seems to defy, well, simple explanation.
Totally. Points to principles we might not get yet. Okay, so let's dig into metallurgy and surgery.
Those carvings at Bulur and Halebidu temples.
Oh, the detail. The video mentions tiny holes drilled into stone jewelry. What kind of tools did they have the metallurgy required?
And it wasn't just stone. Think about all those rust-free iron pillars across India.
Right.
And the quality of ancient Indian swords. Alexander the Great apparently took sword makers back with him from Kashi. That says something.
It really does. Impressive stuff.
Yeah.
The video also gets into some, let's say, more esoteric areas. Alchemy. Making gold with chemicals.
And using poisons as medicine. It references Nagarjuna's research, developing strong animal breeds like Ongol cattle, maybe through early forms of lab work.
Possibly. Texts like Rasratnakaram are mentioned talking about changing metals, mercury research.
It gives a peek into those practices.
Yeah.
And Ayurveda's use of Swarnabhasma gold ash,
Yeah.
that could be seen as a kind of ancient nanotechnology using super fine particles.
Wow, okay. It's all sort of connected, isn't it? And surgery. Sushruta, the father of surgery.
His techniques were incredibly advanced for the time. Cataract surgery, super sharp instruments.
And the story in the source video about the British guy? Nose cut off by Tipu Sultan's men.
And a local potter stitched it back on successfully, using advanced plastic surgery methods, clearly.
And this wasn't just some folktale. It was documented, reported back to the British House of Commons, first recorded plastic surgery.
Yeah, quite significant. And the video notes the potter was from the Maharmatiga community, maybe highlighting contributions from groups often left out of the history books.
It really makes you think. And the contrast they draw. George Washington dying from a simple throat infection around the same time.
Maybe suggesting different kinds of knowledge existed in different places. Some remedies known in India might not have been common elsewhere.
Right. Now this next bit is really thought-provoking. The connection between fundamental particles and the Hindu Trinity.
Ah, yes, the Sage Canada and the Vaishishka Sutras, linking what we might now call protons, neutrons, electrons.
So Brahma, creation.
Yeah.
Vishnu, preservation. And Shiva, destruction or transformation.
The key being that these are seen as representations of fundamental energy.
Exactly. Not literal, but conceptualizing cosmic energy.
And the YouTube discussion draws that parallel. The shape of the Shiva lingam.
Compared to a modern atomic reactor.
Yeah, symbolically linking Shiva's transformative energy to something like nuclear power. It's a fascinating analogy.
It is. Suggests maybe an intuitive grasp of deep energy principles expressed symbolically.
And think about the Nataraja statue, Shiva's cosmic dance, being at CERN.
Right. Representing cosmic energy, creation, destruction. It's this acknowledged link between ancient philosophy and modern physics.
It's quite remarkable how these threads connect across time.
Okay, let's switch to navigation and astronomy. The Rig Veda talks about Nava ships crossing the ocean.
Which kind of flies in the face of the whole Vasco da Gama discovered the sea route to India narrative.
Totally. As the YouTube source says, da Gama didn't sail into the unknown. He was actually guided there.
By a Gujarati trader, wasn't it? Whose ship was apparently much bigger than da Gama's own.
Yeah, and da Gama himself wrote about seeing even bigger Indian ships.
And this maritime skill wasn't just ancient history. In the 18th century, the British were heavily relying on Indian shipbuilders.
Commissioning hundreds of ships. It shows advanced shipbuilding was alive and well in India for a long, long time.
It really flips the standard narrative, highlighting India's advanced maritime tech.
And another detail from the Atharva Veda, Naka Yantrena, a nail-cutting device.
It seems small, but it points to knowledge of metallurgy, making specialized tools way back then.
And also in the Atharva Veda, the story of the Ashwini Kumars fitting an iron leg.
For a woman injured in battle, which suggests two things. Prosthetic limbs existed, and women were involved in warfare.
That's a powerful image. Challenges a lot of stereotypes about the past.
Definitely.
Now astronomy. Aryabhata proposing the sun-centric model centuries before Copernicus.
And you see that reflected in temples, right? Surya, the sun, placed in the center of the Navagraha, the 9 planets arrangement.
It's like a visual representation of the heliocentric understanding.
showing it was likely quite widely accepted, or at least understood, to be built into religious structures like that.
And the source video even claims the distance from Earth to the Sun was known back then, referenced in the Hanuman Chalisa.
Wow. These details suggest a really sophisticated grasp of astronomy and measurement.
Then there's the tradition of Pushkarlu, those river festivals every 12 years.
The video suggests that might have been an ancient way to, share knowledge. People gathering from all over.
Yeah, scholars, thinkers meeting up periodically, a system for spreading knowledge across large areas.
An informal network for learning and exchange, perhaps? Makes sense.
And finally, weddings, showing the couple of the Arundhati and Vashishta stars.
Not just symbolic of harmony.
Right, because they're a binary star system. Seeing them as links shows they understood binary stars. Real astronomical observation.
And even star names like Jyeshta, meaning eldest or largest, implying they had a sense of relative star sizes. It's all much more layered than we might think.
Absolutely. These weren't just random traditions. They were often based on careful observation, real understanding. So wrapping this up, the big takeaway from digging into this source is pretty clear, isn't it?
That ancient India had this incredible depth of scientific and tech knowledge that often gets well overlooked or just isn't widely taught.
Yeah, and it wasn't separate from their culture.
Yeah.
It was embedded right in their temples, their traditions, their texts.
Which leads to a big question for you listening. Why? Why isn't this history better known? What might have caused it to be, less prominent in the mainstream story?
Exactly. It really pushes you to maybe rethink history a bit, acknowledge the ingenuity that was there, and it leaves you with this final thought to chew on.
If everything we've touched on today is just a fraction, just a glimpse
of what ancient India knew and could do. What else is out there? What other amazing discoveries, what technologies might still be waiting to be rediscovered, to be understood?
It's a huge, fascinating question. Lots to explore.